It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
Should I be a chooch? Nah, no chooch. No chooch. Is Dave LaGreca a chooch? Oh, we'll talk about it. I know a lot of you were anticipating this episode after a few days. Told you. Talking about it for years. This day was coming. Many people refused to believe it. It was only a matter of time. Am I angry about it? Not at all. Not at all. Do I feel threatened by it? Are you threatening me? No, not at all. If anything, before I say anything else, I have nothing written down. I don't use a teleprompter. Whatever comes to my mind, that's what I say. That's been one of my mottos since 1997. So it may not be the most polished. I'm not going to pre-record it and edit it 100,000 times. So it just looks perfect. I know I don't have nice tits to look at, but one thing you know, going back to the late 90s, is you get authenticity with me. I say what I mean what I say. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes I regret things, no question. But I've always felt that anything less would be uncivilized. Anything less would be disrespectful to each and every one of you out there. Whether you casually show up, whether you subscribe, whether you're a channel member, a patron, friend, whether you've tuned in for 5 minutes or 5 hours or 30 years. Next year will be 30 years. I always treat you with respect. It's not the greatest formula. There's a reason why I'm still sitting here by myself. It's not the greatest formula, but I'll take it. DTKC is not just a catchphrase, abbreviated initials. It was a vibe. It was a culture. That's why so many people in wrestling, outside of wrestling, at some point passed through. And a lot of them never left, and a lot of them never forgot. When I wrote yesterday, I was kind of taken back by a few people that are currently performing on television. Two that recently stepped down. I'll leave it like that. And I was kind of blown away by the appreciation of it. I will say this. I did hear what JD from New York had said. I did check out a few random podcasts out there that have expressed their opinions on what Busted Open did and what WWE's doing next. My apologies for some others out there that I did not put in a synopsis. You know, the problem is if I start naming names and I start putting a gigantic list, people are going to get even more insulted. Oh, you didn't include me. Why? Am I doing something wrong? Now, as we've been doing the last 2-3 weeks, I got my shot glass. Yes, I admit there's an ice cube in it because I like my Zambuca cold. I like my black Zambuca cold. All right. I remember when I was a lot younger, used to be a phrase that you wouldn't get in trouble, but you get in trouble with now. I'd go to a store and I say, give me a coffee. How do you like it? Black, like my women. Salute, everybody. Salute. Big glass today. Big glass. Drinking and podcasting. I don't know if it'll mix. Listen, before I do anything else, I got to mention something that definitely hits me into strings. Rest in peace to Lou Collar. Some of you may have not realized who that is, don't know. If you go back with us years, the anthem for the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle show was Sick of It All's Take the Night Off. Let's celebrate that we don't give a fuck. Let's celebrate that we don't care. All right? Funny thing is, Lou was the opposite of that. If you read the lyrics, if you listen to the music, if you check out the vibe and the culture, and metal was not my thing, and it still isn't. But the more Kev would educate me about Lou, man, if our show could sing, it'd be that theme. That's why I can't tell you how powerful it is. Wrestlers in the past that have gone public and put us over and still do. Different circumstances now with Kev no longer with us, but, you know, that's embedded in me. You know, I don't know what the future is for yours truly. I'm sure down the line I'll have a new co-host. I'm sure down the line I may join the network or this and that, but one thing is for certain, man. The day I change my style, the day I go against the grain of how I am and who I am, I'll just pack it in. Pack it in. I don't need it that bad. I don't need it that bad. I don't mind wearing, you know, a 5-year-old shirt 50 times instead of buying something new every week. I don't need, you know, anything more than my 2013 Kia. I'm fine with my condo. I don't need a house. Okay, I got a beautiful wife, 2 beautiful dogs. Thank God my parents are still here. I got a lot of friends, online, offline. Why would I want anything more? Yes, I have $50,000 in credit card debt. That's another story, but, you know, that might be why I want a little more. All right, so he died. He died, cancer. He had cancer of the esophagus. Fuck. Reminds me of when Gordon Soley got sick. Fucking take the part that's, you know, that you most know them by. And he beat it. And he beat it. And it came back. Came back. 59 years old, man. 59. So tomorrow on the Don Tony Show, not only do we go old school, calling out a little bit of what Dave LaGreca said, trust me, you will appreciate it. We are going to open with Sick of It All. Yeah, I'll get hit with copyrights, and yeah, there'll be no revenue, but that's fine. Salute, Lou. Rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. Okay. Now on to the main course. The big question, I think it's appropriate if we put the graphic up. I think the main question is, did Busted Open sell out? Okay, for those that don't know what's going on, in about 4 hours from now, the Pro Wrestling Radio 24/7 on Sirius Satellite, I don't know if it's channel 156, 157, I don't tune in. It is changing. It will now be known as WWE Radio. And that's been the home of Busted Open and a bunch of other shows, various hosts. We celebrated the 1-year anniversary of it on the History Show a couple of weeks ago. All right, I may disagree with a lot of the hosts, nothing personal against Maud, but I still show respect when respect is earned. So now, Busted Open is no more as you all knew it. Now, I think what pissed people off more than anything is what happened with the video that Dave LaGreca put out yesterday. I have the video here, and I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to give you my straight up honest thoughts about it. And then I will tell you my honest opinion if Busted Open sold out. I have definitely a few things to say about it. I will challenge a little bit of what JD from New York said. We'll also talk about where does that leave wrestling radio? Where does that leave independent voices out there? Where does that leave people like yours truly and Jason, Solomonster, JD from New York, and others? Where do we go from here? Before I say anything, I want you to hear Dave LaGreca, in his own words, trying to sell you that if you've enjoyed pro wrestling radio 24/7 on Sirius, nothing changes. It's the same shows as before. Nothing changes. Here's what Dave LaGreca had to say.
Starting Monday, July 27th, we will be WWE Radio. Every show is going to be exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Okay.
That you know and love. Busted Open, Not Sam Wrestling Live, Off the Ropes, Busted Open After Dark. But now we're going to have the TV simulcast of Raw, of SmackDown, of NXT. We're going to have original SiriusXM productions of every major WWE PLE, homegrown, right here on WWE Radio Plus, Stephanie McMahon's podcast, Cody Rhodes, The Undertaker, Sam and Megan, all here.
Not Logan Paul. Logan Paul knows better. Hey, listen, I've been doing this since 97. All right. I know when you want to try to amp yourself up, you want to try to convince others, that things aren't going to change. You try to convince yourself. But this next clip right here, I literally spit out my coffee when I saw this. Watch.
I cannot believe that a show that started for 1 hour, 1 day a week, is now going to be partnered with the greatest pro wrestling company, the biggest pro wrestling company, not just now, but ever in this great sport. And make no mistake about it. If you think I'm letting the foot off the gas, if you think you're not going to get what you're used to hearing from Dave LaGreca on a daily basis, you think I'm going to stop ranting? No! Our first ever PLE, our first ever broadcast, SummerSlam!
Oh, shut the fuck up. Seriously. Read a teleprompter, edit it 10 times, right? I have nothing personal against Dave LaGreca. All right. I really don't. Here's my honest take. Okay. Here's my honest take. I'm not trying to say this for any bragging points or anything like that, but I've been telling you motherfuckers for years what he's about. And I have to say he, because Bully Ray's already in the pocket of WWE. You saw the change 2-3 years ago. Mark Henry. And I don't even want to say back pocket because that sounds fucked up. No, Bully Ray is connected with the WWE. And I say that with nothing but respect intended. Mark Henry, same thing. All right, Dolph Ziggler, no, he's not connected with WWE, but he's involved with TNA. He's not involved with AEW. He's still doing what he's doing. Tommy Dreamer's not doing anything, but Tommy Dreamer knows where his bread is buttered. And if you look at Tommy lately, Tommy, hey, I'm just like you, man. I like to eat bread. I like to eat bread. He knows where his bread is being buttered. Not a threat. But to sit there and to say, for a show that went 1 hour, 1 day a week, motherfucker, we did wrestling hotlines for 7 straight days in the 90s. Motherfucker, we spent $60,000, $70,000 over a 15-year period paying for hosting, paying for this, paying for that, so everybody could get a great podcast without shitloads of ads. Buy my cereal, buy my Viagra, buy my razors, buy this, buy that, buy Sleepies, buy mattresses, buy plots for a cemetery, buy everything you can fucking imagine. We fucking kept it like that. After a while, when we realized we can't afford this no more, then you had to take in some commercials here and there. But the thing is that, 1 hour, 1 week, you're impressing yourself. You might be trying to impress your wife. You might be trying to psych yourself up. But remember, Dave, and a lot of people here and remember this too, yours truly and Kevin Castle, God rest his soul, we were offered to go to Sirius way before you ever did. And we turned it down. Why? Because we're lazy. There's no other way to put it. I'm not getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not doing this. We weren't going to get paid next to nothing. Why would we do that? We got offered FM radio way back when. We discussed it live on the shows as it went down. Pin me, pay me. It just wasn't in the cards. Now, I know a lot of people to this day like, motherfucker, if yous would have went to Sirius, maybe we wouldn't have Busted. Listen, Busted Open was not a bad show. Busted Open was not a bad show. All right? Everybody's different. Every style is different. Wrestling is like protein. Dave might be chicken. JD might be beef. I might be, I don't know, pork. Jason might be, whatever. Then you got all the fakes out there. We'll call them tofu. Tofu's protein. But everybody's different. But a couple of years ago, you saw a significant change to Busted Open. It got corporate. Once it went to Sirius, and even before that, it got corporate. It was only a matter of time this was happening, and you saw the changes. You saw 5 years ago conversations between them that anybody in WWE executives would have been like, fuck these motherfuckers. And then all of a sudden, a little hand job here, a little hand job there. You scratch my back, I scratch your back. And you start to see a little bit of transformation, a little bit. But just enough coverage for AEW, just enough coverage for TNA, just enough coverage for a few other things to make it seem like you're still unbiased down the middle. But for me, probably the moment that, and it's 2 moments, there's been 100, there's 2 moments that we emphasized. One was a couple of years ago, one was last year. And, we always brought up the same thing. When you saw the We Want Cody movement, I know it's going to piss people off, but sorry. You saw the We Want Cody movement, okay? Kev and I, on our podcast, 3 days before that, when Rock hugged Cody, we said they're going to do a Daniel Bryan. They're going to do a hashtag We Want Cody. It's documented. It was fucking live. We can't change history. We literally called that. 3 days later, you see all these computer printed signs in the crowd. Hashtag We Want Cody. And Dave LaGreca goes on his podcast and says, what they did to Cody is awful. It's horrible. We need to go to New York City and we need to have a rally and we're going to do it here. Idiot didn't realize that he was going to do it right down the block from a Palestinian-Israeli rally. So you had to move it to another building. But when that went down, like, motherfucker, you know exactly what this is. This is storyline. And you started to see that storylines, clear-cut storylines, pushing is real. That's not the moment. There's others. If I do research, I could sit here for 6 hours bringing them up. But that was one of the clear moments. Like, you're going to do storylines and act as if it's real. You're not Busted Open no more. You're just waiting to get in the graces of WWE. They've been on NXT. They've been doing premium live event. They've been doing this. This should not be a surprise for anybody. The one that we talked about a couple of months, well, it was last year, when Becky Lynch beautifully was doing Donald Trump on social media. All capital letters, complaining, protesting, this, and that. Thank you for your attention to this matter, blah, 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 blah. You got me, JD, and everybody else saying, wow, Becky Lynch is fucking nailing this character right now. She is nailing this. She is just so amazing doing this right now. And here's Dave with Bully Ray. I think Becky needs an interaction. What is it called when you get all family members, an interaction or whatever? And he's serious. He's concerned about Becky. Intervention, that's what it is. He's concerned about Becky. I think she needs an Motherfucker, you're taking storyline, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want to make this clear. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. At least you're true to your words. And the thing is, you can't sit here and say, you think I'm going to stop ranting? Wrong! Motherfucker, just because you're loud doesn't mean you're ranting. You know, they've been doing this for a couple of years now. You see the other hosts, from Denise to Justin and all the others, they just want to further their careers. They're not trying to hurt AEW or hurt WWE or hurt TNA or hurt indie wrestling or hurt Japanese wrestling. If any one of those companies called them and said, would you like to work with us and do a podcast for AEW? Is that selling out? No. That's improving your livelihood, advancing your career. You look at, what's Washington's first name? The one that went to AEW, used to have a podcast. I almost said Denzel, and I'm sorry for saying that. I can't remember his name right now. Will Washington. One of the nicest people out there. Nicest people out there. And he gets a job for AEW, does their unrestricted podcast for a while, works behind the scenes, and I watch people online vilifying this guy. And I'm standing there and I'm saying to myself, why? Why? He got hired for a company to work them. It's just like if a commentator gets hired, if a backstage interviewer gets hired, if somebody works in production. So anybody that's working for these companies, they're just doing it to better their career, to advance, to make money, to get places. I think when it comes down to is everybody is angry pretty much at Dave LaGreca. You can't be angry at Bully Ray. You can't be angry at Mark Henry. You can't be angry at those two. They have been WWE for a while. But the problem is, and this is why Dave's video, Dave, with all due respect, I gain nothing yet. I gain nothing yet. But I'll say this with the utmost sincerity. I think you're Italian too, from one Goomba to another. You're doing this as a hype video for WWE, but you shot yourself in the foot. You shot yourself in the foot because you think because you got a lot of viewers, downloads, you're ranked number 3 in the podcasting world, which we will expose something in a moment. That you think that, oh no, your credibility is still there, that your core is still there. It's not. It's not, because you're trying to spin this, and that's where you go wrong. Do I think Dave LaGreca sold out? No, I don't. I don't think he sold out. I don't believe he sold out. The guy has been doing this for years. He's been doing it for years. The problem is that they gave just enough of AEW, gave just enough of TNA, gave just enough of other conversations to make it seem like it was unbiased. But People that are straight up 100, which I take pride of, straight up 100, could see this a mile away. It's not jealousy. He's married. He's got a house. He's got expenses. He's got a livelihood. This guy is advancing his career, and that should be commended. But the way he's doing it by saying this won't change and this is, motherfucker, you've changed for a couple of years now. And you think that this success, I want to show everybody something. Everybody on video, I want to show you something. I'm going to share my screen. I want to show you a little something. And this is going to lead to where I think wrestling radio goes from here. And I'm going to need your help tonight, this week, with input, because I keep saying the phrase time to make the donuts. There's a reason why I keep saying that. Anybody that's an old hag like me, you remember those 1980s Dunkin' Donuts commercials. I shall explain my brainstorm of what I will do next and how to handle it. I want to show you a screen, okay? I want to show you a screen. Everybody out there that has video, look at your video right now, okay? This is a top list. I know it keeps cutting it off. Actually, I probably could fix that. Okay, here, you see? Okay. This is right now the top podcasts in all of wrestling. This is the top list. Now, I will tell you right off the bat, Chris Van Vliet, Jim Cornette, Bruce Pritchard, Stephanie McMahon, all deserve a shitload of credit to be that high on the list. That is true, legit, badass numbers. That is 100% badass numbers. No question about it. And there's a reason why I say that. Okay, now I'm going to show you my screen again. When you go to Chris Van Vliet and I click on his link, you will see that he has done, he did an Ask Chris Van Vliet on July 24th. Let me move this over. There we go. He did one on July 24th. He did an interview with Dragon Lee on July 23rd. And he did an interview with AJ Styles on July 21st. So he's done 3 podcasts the past 7 days. Okay, Jim Cornette, and this is why I always feel Jim Cornette is the #1 podcast in the world. Because when you look at his list, he did a podcast on July 22nd, and he did one July 15th. He does one a week. One a week. That is one download. Okay, I want to make this clear. This is one download. All right? When you understand that these guys are doing one download, because when you get in these top lists, it's based on how many downloads you get. That's what it is. Clear as crystal, based on how many downloads you get. So we noticed something about Busted Open several years ago when they started really jolting up the list, and nothing really started to stand out. A lot of my listeners and viewers thought that Dave was a goof. All right, with all due respect. He's the Genetti of the LaGreca brothers, the family. That's up for debate. I don't want to take pot shots at him. He's not a bad person, but we started to see something and we called it out. And unfortunately, many people just didn't give a shit about it. But I'm going to show you something now. Okay, right now, Busted Open is ranked number 4 on this list. Now remember, every time you download a podcast, that's a download. The more downloads, the higher you are on the list. So let's look at Busted Open and see how many podcasts, how many downloads they have done in the last 7 days. Okay, so the last 7 days would go back to July 19th. Okay, we have, now I'm going to go through the numbers first, and then we will go through the list. Okay, let me just, hold on. Okay. This for some reason is giving me a weird file over here. So let me do it with Spotify instead. Let me show you Spotify. Because if you look, you see Spotify up here? Look at the verse. You see previewing Cody Punk over here? Changing dynamics of Cody Punk here. You see it over here? Same thing. Spotify and the list is the same episode. So I'll show you Spotify. Let me just fix the viewing. There we go. There you are. Okay. So now I want you to see how many episodes they've posted in 7 days. Now remember, Jim Cornette did 1. Stephanie McMahon did 1. Chris Van Vliet did 3, which is totally acceptable. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 downloads in 1 week. So if you download every clip that they put up, they got 14 downloads compared to somebody's 1. And that's how you finagle your numbers to get top on that list. And let's look at these titles. Previewing Cody and Punk, and Roman and Seth at SummerSlam. That wasn't enough. Changing the dynamics of Cody and Punk. Then you have the SmackDown reaction. All this is no longer the general manager. The match of the week, looking ahead to SummerSlam. Didn't you just do that the day after? Reaction, exclusive interview with Casey Navarro and the Righteous Deletion. Oh, no, not interview, just a viewing. Okay, fine. Announcement, WWE Radio. Reaction, last stop until redemption. Danhausen curses us. NXT review. Full Raw review. Case that wasn't enough, another Raw review. Case that wasn't enough, Raw reaction. Saturday night's main event review. That's not enough, Saturday night's main event reaction. Saturday night's main event preview. SmackDown reaction. This is everything in 1 week. So when you see that they're number 4, they have to put up 14 files to get to that level. That's why and they're not the only ones. If I go down that top 20 list, 60 to 70% of those podcasts do anywhere between 7 and as much as 20 downloads in 1 week. You do one show, you put it up, I download it, that's it. I'm counted as one number. Imagine these people doing this shit. So when you see, now you understand a little bit more of how the game is played. And that's interesting. You know why? Because when you think of Pro Wrestling Radio on Sirius, and you realize that it takes 14 times the files to get to number 4, those numbers must suck. Am I wrong? You need 14 times the files as Stephanie McMahon to be ranked alongside her. So when you see what's happening on SiriusXM, remember, this is something nobody's talking about. This might be a SiriusXM decision too. SiriusXM may have been looking at these numbers and like, hey, this is not what we were looking for. And let me tell you why I think I'm spot on with this. You see, SiriusXM, they have to fill 24 hours of content. You have to fill 24 hours of content. Of course, they don't expect anybody to sit there and tune in for 24 hours straight. You might ingest an hour a day. You might ingest 2 hours a day. You might ingest 1 in the morning and 1 at night. You might ingest nothing until the weekend. It is monthly subscription based. So the fact that you need 14 times the files compared to any normal fucking person out there, and you're still not ranked at number 1, tells you that can you imagine if they only uploaded 4? They'd probably be ranked 40 or 50th. So when you see these changes on Sirius, you got to think in the back of your mind, these guys, with all due respect, are not getting the numbers that you think they get. So when you see Dave LaGreca going for 1 hour, 1 day a week, that's because you have been in the back pocket of WWE for several years, taking storylines, and instead of analyzing the story and like, hey, I don't like this, or hey, I kind of think that this is why this is that. Hey, Jey Uso saying the same shit for 6 years. Hey, I think Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi make total sense. You know, Oba answered Brock's open challenge 7 weeks before WrestleMania. Brock answered Oba's open challenge when Penta stopped defending the Intercontinental Championship as an open challenge. And then it's 1-1, so now they're going to do 3. Instead of doing that, you're reacting in storyline. So this is why he's where he's at. That's why others are where they're at. That's why people like yours truly and JD and others are not there. It goes back to the TNA discussions that we had. It goes back to those days. We were one of 2 shows that TNA absolutely told everyone, you are not allowed to go on those shows. We were one of 2. And the funny thing was, Kevin and I, when this was live and in real time, Kevin's like, we don't interview people anyway. What the fuck's that mean? Like, it didn't matter to us. We had Mr. Mystery giving us all his dirt that worked in TNA at that time. Gave us so many scoops. We used to put them up there, and none of the wrestling news shows out there would ever post it because they were pissed. They're like, these guys are dicks. We're not going to fucking give them credit. We'd rather just ignore it. You see it even now when we tell you about the Netflix, how they determine ratings and, you know, everything else that we've been analyzing. Look at the Janelle Grant, Vince McMahon situation. 4 days after Janelle filed that lawsuit, 4 days, 96 hours, Kevin and I were here telling you exactly what was going to happen and why it was going to happen. And not only 96 hours, you got other people out there that took them 2 years and 4 months and still were in denial when Janelle, the judge needs to approve. Motherfucker, the judge talked to both sides and they came to this agreement. You don't do press releases and then say you're going to submit it to the court, and the court has no idea what you're talking about. This was all agreed upon. The judge must sign off before this because you're just in denial. It's like your wife left you 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and you still think that everything is fine because she just never legally changed her name from yours. You know, meanwhile, she's banging someone else, might be banging a whole block. And you say, oh, you know, we're still married, there's still a chance. And that's it. It's over. It's over. And this is what people believed. They believed. And that's the thing Dave needs to understand. If you were just straight out and honest to say, listen, I'm married. I got bills. I got expenses. I'm not getting any younger. And, you know, my dream was to work for WWE. And I always wanted to get to this point. All right, people would still be pissed off at you. A lot of people would be jealous of you as well. But at least they feel like, you know what? He's being 100 with us. Instead, nothing's going to change. Listen, the Thunder Rosa stuff, if we're being honest for a minute, Thunder Rosa has not done that much with Busted Open for a while. I personally understand totally why Thunder Rosa would not be part of this. She's still under an AEW contract. She's still a wrestler. All right. And WWE and AEW, it is fierce competition. All right. It's fierce competition. Every dollar that goes to AEW is $1 less that could have went to WWE. All right. Plain and simple. So Thunder Rosa being let go should not be a surprise to anyone. She really has not done that much on Busted Open for a while now. You know, she is a wonderful person. And trust me, she will do fine elsewhere. And who knows, once she's done with AEW, you might see her back on there again. But the thing is, this is why, like if I ever, when I joined Blue Wire and I joined Pro Wrestling TV, oh, that was an experience. JD and I got stories about Pro Wrestling TV. We will not, I don't think we'll ever make it public, but oof, boy, let me tell you something, JD, am I lying? Seriously, you're probably going to see this video. Am I lying? Our asses were probably wider than this. We got nailed in the ass so hard with a sausage, man. Remember that? Pro Wrestling TV. Got no hate. Because I wasn't changing who I am, the core of what I do. And JD doesn't change either. You look at Jason Solomonster. Jason now does a podcast with Ariel Wani. That's big. That is big. And why people aren't upset? Because they like him. Because Jason is 100. And Ariel trusts him. He's reliable. And he's very intelligent. And there's others out there as well. So when JD, and this is where I disagree with him, when JD says that, independent wrestling and we're a dying breed, nothing has changed in the last 40 years. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has happened is that a lot of people that were wearing foggy glasses and a lot of people out there that busted open, was not going to be in the back pocket of anybody, and this and that. Unfortunately, they as a brand changed years ago. I don't want to say sold out, but they changed years ago. And the problem that their core audience is having right now, even with Bully Ray, you know what the problem is? Is because this is definitely wrong way to put it. They didn't have the balls to tell their core audience, listen, I'm working with WWE a little bit. What do you want me to do? Throw them under the bus? Like, of course you're going to lose listeners for it. But, people on the outside looking in see this a mile away. It's just your core audience refused to believe that you were going to go WWE corporate. They refuse to believe that, even though Bully Ray's involved with LFG, you know what? When it comes to discussions, he still talks about AEW, still talks about TNA. Nobody's going to tie him down. You look at these other people, nobody's going to tie them down. No, it was going to go WWE corporate sooner or later. All right. There's only so many wrestlers on the active roster that you could have do podcasts. Look at the New Day before they got released. Remember they used to have the podcast, all three of them? After a while, it burnt out. You had others that did podcasts. It burnt out. So what do? You hire outside people to do your dirty work. Plus TKO is making tens of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. So to fill up spots on Sirius Satellite, you're going to go with people who you trust. Now, here's where I give Dave credit. He is very, very, very trustworthy with WWE. WWE feels comfortable enough that this man totally understands how the game works. And they're not concerned in the least bit. I watched on social media the last 24 hours. Guys, you going to still cover AEW? Guys, are you still going to cover it? Please don't tell me that it's only going to be WWE. It's called WWE Radio, stupid. It's called WWE Radio. Did Dave answer any of you? Did Bully Ray answer any of you? No. You're ghosted now. You're ghosted because they have now jumped. And I hope anyone out there that refused to believe, no, Dave is not like that. No. He's passionate. He's this. Dave, I don't want to use the word fake, man. That guy puts on an act. It was not that long ago when he used to be like, I can't watch Raw, fall asleep. Now he's sitting there and he's passionate about every little detail. Listen, when you get paid Yeah. Trust me, if certain companies paid me to analyze their product more, you best damn believe I would. But I would at least tell everyone. You could see this. A lot of this is an act. But the core of what Dave LaGreca is real and trustworthy. And that's why he's working for them. They know he's not going to go rogue. He's not going to go rogue. So do I think Busted Open sold out? No, I don't. Because I have probably pissed off too many of my listeners and viewers over the last 3 or 4 years, telling you repeatedly. Before Kev passed away, God rest his soul, we used to call him Maud. We used to call Dave Maud because he walked around in a pink robe. All right, yeah, it's a gimmick. Look at me. You know, I'm Italian. I live in Howard Beach. Members of the Gotti family went to my wedding. It's all true. You know, I have friends who are gangsters and former gangsters and cardboard gangsters and 75-year-old used-to-be gangsters. Yeah, I got an Italian shirt. I'm drinking fucking Italian or it's Greek Sambuca, whatever it is. It's black. That's all I know. I think it's Greek. Yeah, I like Italian food. Yeah, I'm heavy. I like drinking wine. You know, but this is me, you know, hyped up. It's exaggerated. I let my guard down. I let loose. I have fun. I get energetic. If I just sit here and just talk, people will be like, oh, I'm fucking going to sleep. This sucks. Yeah, the energy, of course, we're all amped up. You look at JD. You think if I called JD at his house on a Sunday afternoon where he's hanging out with his family, JD, how's everything going? Fucking thunderstorms, man. Fucking weather got it wrong again, motherfucker. God damn it. Just when I wanted to sit and have a hot dog. No. You know, like, everybody amps up a little bit. We get into it. You get into the moment. You have fun. You know, I can't explain this. When I'm with my wife after, she's like, hey, you working tomorrow? What do you think? Like, what is this a stupid question? What are you, stupid? Like, nobody acts like this. So I get it. But one thing is for certain. I say what I mean what I say. DTKC is not just a catchphrase, a vibe, it's a core. It's part of who I am. It's a style. It's authentic. It's being 100. I don't want to be first. I want to be right. That's been my motto since 1997. And yes, I have lost tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of viewers and listeners because of that. I sometimes could be very boring spitting out facts. But this is who I am. And I'm not changing. If I see something and it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks. If I see something and it's good, I'm going to tell you it's good. If I see something about TKO that is unpopular, but it makes total sense, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to sit here and put on an act because, you know, TKO would love to hear that, or this person would fit this agenda. No. And that's why a lot of shows out there will never. People used to say to me, hey, DT, if TNA hired you, would you work for them? I'm like, of course I would. But they're not going to hire me because Dixie Carter wants a whole bunch of people around her. You know, yes, Dixie, that's a great idea, Dixie. You know, Dixie, great decision, great move, great this. You know, I would always be devil's advocate. Even when Bully Ray wanted to kick my ass and invited Kevin and I to go to Florida in the middle of a TNA ring, and we weren't stupid, Bully Ray could still kick my ass. But even privately, and he's, you know, fighting with me about the stuff we're saying about TNA. I remember Tito Ortiz comes out, and I DM'd him, and I still got the DMs. I mean, I don't delete nothing. I'm a hoarder. But I even told him, I said, Bully, I don't expect you to publicly say anything negative about TNA or Dixie. That's your employer. I totally get it. But privately, you can't sit there and tell me that Tito Ortiz coming out was a huge fucking blockbuster thing. I said his entrance theme was so clear because nobody popped for it that you could download it and probably sell it as an MP3. You know, he comes out there, folds his arms, and Don West, Tito Ortiz, look at Tito Ortiz. It sucked. So, of course, I'm going to call like it is, you know? So, that doesn't get you hired. It doesn't get you hired. All right. You see some people out there, independent people who are working now for WWE, if you really look at it, under the WWE Radio banner. Look at them. Look at their style. Look at their style. You know, like, if you could picture, like, the most beautiful farm, and you see lambs jumping, and you see bright sunshine, you look up and it looks like the sun is smiling at you, and there's a rainbow, and there's 55 ducks walking by, and look, the little baby ducks, and they're all walking in unison. And you open up your door and you pick up your newspaper, you look around, beautiful day today. And you look over at the ducks and somehow they're trained to go, good morning, good morning. And you go back in the house and the tea is going off. Honey, it's tea time. And then look at the beautiful this, and oh my God, it's just a beautiful, that's what some of these people are. That's what some of these people are. Everything is epic, amazing, unbelievable. If they tweeted, they'd be Fade. If you know what Fade is on Twitter, that's who some of these people are. That's what they do. And that's why they go places. And that's fine. I have no issues with that. I can't do that. I can't do that. If I go outside, it smells like fucking shit. Did a fucking dog shit on the fucking lawn? Holy shit, it looks like it's gonna rain. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it's sunny when it's raining. And that's why I disagree with JD. We're not a dying breed. We're not a dying breed. It's just that, honestly, there's only so far you can go when you do this. And this is why it's always meant to be independent. It's always meant to be independent. Here's a true fact. Blue Wire hired JD and myself. Separate shows. We were the only two non-wrestlers that had a podcast on Blue Wire. Pro Wrestling TV wanted two different shows for their network and hired JD and myself. And we both got fired at Blue Wire at the same time because they were going in a different direction. They wanted Chris Van Vliet. Look at Chris Van Vliet. I used to make fun of that guy. Before I knew who he was, I was like, why is this guy smiling all the time? I said, he looks like a ventriloquist dummy. You guys remember, what's it like to enjoy to eat? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's this? Who do you like to wrestle? And that was like 7 years ago. 6 years ago. And then once I started to know about him, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's a good guy, man. And I look like a total asshole. And they kept him and I was gone. All right. You look at others out there. You look at Ariel Helwani. Ariel Helwani's a little bit more cutting edge, but he's not dumb. He will avoid certain questions because he wants to get the repeat interviews. You want people to feel comfortable on your shows. You don't want people to feel like they're on eggshells and you might hit them with a question that they're not feeling. Anybody remember TSN's Off the Record with Michael Landsberg? All right. There's a reason why no one ever hired Michael Landsberg. If you look at TSN Off the Record with Michael Landsberg is the closest of what you would get with a podcaster that is not in the good graces of AEW, WWE, or anybody else. All right. But the wrestlers knew when they went on that show, they knew what to expect. Even Vince went on that show and he asked some pretty hard-nosed questions, so you got to know who, and today's day and age, everything is more lightweight now. Everything is much more lightweight. You would think because of TKO. TKO, UFC, slap in the face. Look, we start slap chop, whatever it is. Like we're rogue. We curse. We're Trump supporters. We're this. And if we're not Trump supporters, that's fine too. And fuck you and fuck this and no politically correctness. And then you get this. Everything about WWE Radio is political correctness. You know, Cody, maybe with a couple of Wheatley vodkas, he might say something he's not supposed to do, not supposed to. Dave Meltzer. As much as I criticize that guy because he's so much of a pompous, and I still fucking pay him every month for a subscription, there is elements of Dave that is still worthy of that. But that guy has gotten so old and pompous that even when you sincerely want to correct him about something, there is friction, there's an argument, or there's just ghosting. All right, that guy cannot be wrong. He cannot be wrong. And if you challenge him, he will ask you to provide facts. The funny thing is, when he's wrong, he doesn't provide facts either. And he knows that you can't provide them because he can't provide them. You look at the TNA Impact rating for 2 of the last 3 weeks. All right, when people ask him, hey, Dave, what's up with the TNA Impact rating? I'm trying to get it. How's about you just fucking honest and say none of us have access to that unless we want to pay thousands of dollars a month? No, I'm trying to get it. Everybody knew you weren't going to get it, and you didn't get it because you have no contact with that. We exposed WrestleNomics with their quarter-hour numbers 3 months before the changeover with Nielsen when they started factoring streaming media and TVs. I said, you watch. The day they switch over to digital, those quarter-hour ratings disappear. Because it made sense. Who the fuck else was getting quarter-hour ratings in the entire entertainment world? From Breaking Bad to I'm bad and you're bad and breaking this and I'm going to break in half. All the TV shows that sport. Why didn't nobody want the quarter-hour numbers? You started to understand. We called that out. And nobody fucking cared. So when you call out Busted Open for 2 or 3 years and people don't care, things like this is what happens. People have been calling this out on Busted Open for years. Now it's happened. Not surprised, not upset. I'm not threatened by it. I think everybody who's getting paid from the WWE, and I mean this, from Dave LaGreca to everyone else that I mentioned earlier, good. I'm happy for you because you worked hard to get that, all right? But when it comes to your core audience, as we used to, well, I wasn't alive at the time, but there was an old TV show that used to say, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. You got some splaining to do. And you'll never splain it perfectly because that's not who you are. And a lot of people realized that, shit, I thought Dave was not one of them. He's been one of them for a very long time. So, where do we go from here? Well, this is up to you now. This is up to you. Because I've been saying for the last couple of days, time to make the donuts. I think it's time that we take our shows to the next level. I think it's time to help fill the void these motherfuckers are leaving. I think it's time to play them at their own game. You want to have 14 fucking downloads? No problem. I'll try to figure out how to get 14 fucking downloads in 1 week. I'm sure JD and a bunch of others will figure out how to get fucking 10 to 14 downloads in 1 week. In fact, anybody out there that has a good work ethic, that do their shows, put up a bunch of fucking clips and watch how fast you see some of these shows poop down into the 20s and the 30s. Even if you do it for a week just to make a point, all right? But I'm not doing that just to make a point. It's not easy to do this. It's not easy to keep an audience. It's not easy to weed out the bullshit. All right, one thing that I take pride of, going decades back. All right, Dave could call me whatever he wants. I'm talking about Meltzer and you whatever you want to call it. One thing that you rarely could ever do is call me wrong. All right, because we use common sense half the time, and the other half the time we actually do research to check shit. I had 3 people calling me a liar today because I said that Nick Khan sold 30,000 shares in the last month. And I said he sold 10,000 shares this week. And people like, oh, I just checked the financial website and he didn't sell no stock this week. You're a fucking liar. You fucking go Google Edgar filings, July 21st, Nick Khan. People don't know. When I introduced you all to what was that rating site that no one has ever talked about before? The one I asked Dave Meltzer about, and he ghosted me because he's like, fuck, that guy figured it out. You know, call me a fraud all you want. But the fact is, I've been doing this 29 years, and for some reason, a shitload of people out there and a shitload of people in wrestling and out of wrestling enjoyed what we do, and some still enjoy what we do. Because I talk to everyone like they're my friends. I think it's Flix Patrol, I think it's called. So I want to fill the void. Some of the void that these motherfuckers want to leave, that have left. All right. They're not going to be covering AEW. They're not. Period. You think WWE would allow them? I mean, that should be a given. Then they're not. I don't see them taking calls like they used to. And trust me, if calls are screened, it's going to be really interesting to see what calls get through. It's going to be really interesting because what's going to happen is you're going to get a few people that are going to call them out and call them sellouts and this and that. Then they're not going to take calls. You got people that are going to tell the screener, yeah, I want to talk about Raw tonight. I thought Raw was a pretty good show, but I'm a little concerned about something with fucking whatever. And they'll put them through. And then when the person says, hey, Mike from New York, hey, how you doing? You know, you had a question about Raw? Yeah, but, you know, before that, you know, just comment about AEW and All In. That's coming. That's coming. And you see how quickly that shit changes. And they'll blame it on trolls. But I want to fill the void in some ways. I need all of you to tell me, whether it's email, post a comment, DM me, tweet me, whatever. I want to know how you want me to fill this void a little bit. All right. I have decided we're going to be bringing some more content on YouTube within the next week or two. We're going to start covering TNA a little bit more, if that's what you guys want. You guys want me to cover AEW a little bit more, if that's what you want. If you want me to do pay-per-view recaps, you know, you want me to do like a show on we already do Wednesday Night Dynamite. I really don't want to change that much. I mean, could we do it live? Sure. I've even thought of the idea of just going live when breaking news happens. If I'm home and somebody fucking croaks, DT, oh my God, did you hear so-and-so died? Shit, you know, maybe I should go live and we'll talk about it. Hey, did you hear about the 10 releases today from WWE? All right, rather than waiting until Monday's show, let's go live in an hour. Let's talk about it. Do we do that? You know, like, I want to know how I can help fill this void. If anything, this is going to help JD. This is going to help yours truly. This is going to help JD and even Wrestling Soup and others. Because you're showing that your loyalty is still there and your core is still there. Your authenticity is still there. You're 100. And are we a dying breed? Maybe. But if we're a dying breed, we're a dying breed for a very, very, very long time. But the fact is, there's going to be a shitload of people out there that want to trust that listen, I've said this for the last 5 years, that the clickbait and the gushy has a shelf life. You've heard me say that 10,000 times. Clickbait and the gushy, and let me wear a low-cut shirt because I know people will just stare at my tits for an hour and a half and have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. All right? That all has a shelf life. All right? And you're seeing, once again, that shelf life coming to fruition with Busted Open. It was only a matter of time that this day was coming. So now you have to put your trust in the people that will give it to you straight up. And only time builds that loyalty. Funny thing is, and I'll say this in closing, Dave LaGreca, he's not going to be with WWE forever. We don't know how many years he'll be tied with them, but it'll be really interesting the day that he and WWE break ties. Because if that guy goes back on his fucking podcast and starts ranting and saying, I'm back and I'm not tied down and this and that, you're just showing even more and more of what you truly are. That guy could have easily avoided a lot of this if he was just straight up and honest what his agenda was the last bunch of years. This is the end game for a lot of people on that network now. This is the end game. I'm just surprised at how many people that refused to see this coming, denied it, told you're just jealous. This was coming for a very, very long time. I truly, sincerely wish Dave, everybody else at Busted Open, all the other independent podcasts from Justin and Denise and everybody else, make a ton of money. Do your thing. Have fun. Because you don't know how long that's going to last. And just stay true to yourself. If you notice, and I'll say one last thing too, if you notice, no one is really going after anybody else. Because their core was always there. It's just Dave sold you a bag of beans, and those beans transitioned into something entirely different several years ago and refused to tell you, or denied it, spun it, changed the subject, wrote it off as trolling. But meanwhile, the people who noticed this years ago, most of us were like, yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. What happened did not surprise me at all. So, just like this, that did not surprise me either. I mean, 4 fucking days after that 67-page lawsuit was filed, we fucking knew exactly what this was. And for 2.5 years, people tried to convince you otherwise for various reasons. And some of them are realizing, oh my God, Janelle really isn't that person we thought she is. It was always about the money. It's always about the money. Now we'll be talking about ring boys. Give it a little time. And then once Vince dies, once Vince dies, there's a whole bunch of women out there, mostly women that are just waiting on the sidelines, felt threatened, had to keep quiet. Despite Janelle Grant and everyone else, I still felt threatened for my life. I feared this and that. And these people are going to give them the platform, and they're going to sing like canaries, and you're going to realize they're not canaries, they're ducks. When they say it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's probably a duck. All right. No, you see Conrad? Conrad tells you what he is. Conrad's a businessman. Conrad eats, sleeps, shits wrestling, but he eats, sleeps, shits money too, and eats, sleeps, shits business. You know what Conrad is. I've always, and I debated when I was still talking to Mish, we debated all the time about Conrad. I debated with Kev about Conrad. I always took the side of Conrad. I know exactly what Conrad is all about. And I say that complimentary. He fucking doesn't hide it. You know exactly what he's about. See, Dave tried to play the voice of the voiceless, the renegade, the ranter. Just because he screamed, he thought, oh, see, I'm rogue. I'm kind of like what CM Punk was 10 years ago. I'm the voice of the voiceless. I'm a rare breed. One day, once a week, 1 hour. That doesn't impress me, man. That doesn't impress me. 29 years, 7 days a week. All right, let's move on. We've talked a little bit much about this. Independent wrestling radio is not dying. Everybody's not going anywhere. If anything, people will get more attention now because of this. We're not hurt by it. Definitely not hurt by it. And listen, I will say one last thing too. I do have some sympathy for JD because he was trying to become part of the Busted Open family. JD was working very hard to be part of the Busted Open family. And the thing is that JD knows those guys 1,000 times better than I do. And those guys truly supported JD. I think JD, maybe in the back of his mind, didn't think that WWE would be calling, but they have. And that's got to be extremely disappointing to put that much investment in that. But I'll say this too, hooking up with Coach, hooking up with Vince Russo, all right? There's risk with that too. Coach is a professional person. As much as I joke about Coach is legit. Coach is really good. And it's only a matter of time that a platform is going to pick up Coach and give him an opportunity. And if that happens, Coach is not selling out. He's not stabbing JD or anybody else in the back. That's just him taking an opportunity. Vince Russo also. Vince Russo in a perfect world, Vince Russo would be expanding even further. So this is risk. Whenever you align with someone, when I aligned with Blue Wire, it was risk. They signed me to a 2-year contract. And then next thing you know, I was done. Pro Wrestling TV, JD and I quit for various reasons, which we will not say today. Because if they're not in business anymore, then I'll tell everybody next week the story. It's a fucked up story. And it is kind of funny too. I would even think to bring JD on so we could tell his story together. But I think they might still be in business, so I don't want to say anything bad. But yeah, they screwed us big time. So, yeah, Coach talks BS all the time. But when Coach is paid to be 100 legit, straight up, he does it. He does it. You look at this guy that got fired from ESPN. Who's the guy that everybody's like, oh, TKO had something to do with it? If TKO had something to do with it, that motherfucker would have been fired 4 months ago. All right? Everybody blames on TKO. Oh, this guy got fired. Andreas Hale. I hear from people that he's a really nice guy. Look at some of the shit he said in the past publicly. Just look up the R-Truth stuff. Look at the fucking... The one that always gets me is Kevin Owens. I forget who that podcaster was too. He was at ESPN also. We talked about him very recently. Anybody remember that podcaster with Kevin Owens' son? The autism thing? Wasn't Andreas Hale, but it was someone else. I mean, some of these people, I don't know why. I don't know why they say what they say. I can't remember who it was, but somebody made fun of, Kevin Owens' son being autistic. This was like 10 years ago. It was like a long time ago. It was when Kevin Owens first won the Universal Championship. So, all right, we got some super shout outs to make, and then we move on. We'll go to the floor. We still got an hour. We still have an hour, so we ain't going nowhere. We could talk SummerSlam. Maybe we'll get some AEW updates. I heard fucking Speedball Mike Bailey won the ladder match. Why? I mean, I know you want to give him a little bit of a rub. How do you not put fucking Leo Rush in there, man? I mean, unless they're planning something else for Leo Rush, man. If I'm AEW, not just Ring of Honor, I'd fucking find a spot for Leo Rush, man. Bin Al Hassan. I think that's him. Yeah, mid-range, you are right. No, not Ben Amin. No, that's the guy with Vince Russo stuff. Not him. It's someone else. I think Al-Hassan. I think that's the guy. Amin Al-Hassan. That's who it is. Yeah. Look him up. ESPN as well. Look up that guy. Look up Kevin Owens. If I'm Kevin Owens, I punch that motherfucker in the face. Punch him right in the face, man. Some of these people say some ridiculously stupid shit, man. All right, let's get into some shout outs. And I see a big one right off the bat. Who's this from? Who can I give many thanks to? This goes out to Tommy D. Tommy, you wrote a lot. I got to squint to see this, but thank you, my friend, man. That's very generous of you. He bought me 5 months at the WWE Network. I've been listening to you and Kevin since 2008. Even though I'm still mad you two never took the serious offer. And he means the satellite, not are you being serious? No, he means SiriusXM. I'm glad you're still going. I miss Kev. I disagree with JD from New York that you guys are dying out. I think crap like LaGreca is weeding out. I wouldn't call LaGreca crap. I mean, the guy has an audience. I mean, listen, when you see these rallies, you see him doing live shows in buildings like WrestleMania weekend, people go. All right? I'm not foolish. I'm not stupid. Dave LaGreca definitely gets an audience. Very, very smart man, very dedicated man. I'm not kissing his ass. I'm not looking for a WWE job. But listen, the guy is not fake. But he's a little bit, I don't want to say dishonest. Might just be afraid. I think he's afraid to really show who he is. You know, but again, this has been building for years. Becky Lynch intervention, Cody Rhodes prep rally. And you know this is fucking storyline. This is not anything new. I think he was afraid to confront his hardcore audience. He built a hardcore audience. It's like, shit, what do I do now? And he tried to cover it and cover it and cover it. And that's why people are so angry. Because they feel betrayed. And Dave, he knows this. I don't need to say it. When you're 100, nobody feels betrayed because they know what your goals are. Me, of course, I want to pay bills. I'd like to make some money. I'd like to grow. Been doing this going on 30 years now, but I'm not changing my style. I'm not going to suddenly say, I don't know, that this is square. I'm not going to watch something and sit there with a big smile with rosy cheeks on my face and be like, oh, this is wonderful. Oh, my God. Oh, did you see who came out? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. If it's not that great, I'm going to just say it. If you're true to yourself and you're true to your audience, nobody ever feels betrayed. Nobody feels betrayed. But I wouldn't call him crap though. Crap. But this was only a matter of time. But I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. And trust me, if Sirius would have offered us a decent amount of money, we would have taken it. It was the amount of money that they were offering was so small. We were like, I got to turn part of my business upside down. I don't want to have to get up in the middle of the night and fucking drive wherever it is, New York City, FM radio, go to Astoria. I don't want to do that. Like for what? I know you got to pay your dues, but I'm not going to hurt my livelihood just so I could get, trust me, it was awesome. But you see now, Dave's in his house. You look at this video. This is not from WWE headquarters. These motherfuckers are going to do this from their house. You can't get any better than that. You can't even get better than that. That's awesome. If Sirius would have said you could do this from your house, fuck yeah, we would have taken it. But they wanted us to go to a studio. And they can't do that. No. So thank you very much for that generosity, man. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Ronnie says DT, the salt hack worked. Very cool, man. Very cool. For those that don't know what that is, I deal with insomnia. I have a little bit of sleep apnea. I have a mouth guard that helps my sleep apnea, but I wake up 4 or 5 times every night, sometimes 6 to take a leak. And every time you get up to take a leak, that's broken sleep. Sometimes I can't go back to sleep. So I'll fucking watch Jim Cornette videos, or I'll eat ice cream or something like that, and my sleep sucks. So a friend of mine who's a doctor gave me a hack and said, right before you go to sleep, eat 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. eat 300 milligrams of salt. And I'm like, isn't that a lot of salt? He's like, no, it's a little more than a bag of potato chips. He says, eat 300 milligrams of salt right before you go to sleep. You'll thank me. I had 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. I downed it. I drank a sip of water after. The next day, that morning, I only went to the bathroom once overnight, and my sleep was beautiful. It's not a permanent fix, but if any of you out there, because you snore and you got like dry throat and you drink tons of water overnight, have a bunch of salt right before you go to sleep. Make sure you don't have high blood pressure. I should add that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice, but try it one night. 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Go to sleep. You'll go to the bathroom maybe once, and then the whole rest of the time you're sleeping. And for anybody out there that wants to know why that works, very simple. You ever come across a chick and she looks fat, like you gain weight, and she says, no, it's just water weight. What happens when you have too much salt? Your body retains water. So the idea is if you have salt right before you go to sleep, your body's like, the fuck is all this salt? I better retain water. So when it's time to take a leak, your body's like, no, we gotta hold that water. So that's how it works. That's the easiest way I could describe it. So, Jim Kahn. Thank you, Jim Kahn. He's rooted for Rhea years ago, but she's the new John Cena, where everything is shoved down our throats. Boring promos on every poster. Oh, Liv. Oh, yo. Every time her promos, they sound almost like Kermit. I sound like Kermit the Frog when they do. I mean, I could do Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog here. But if you hear Rhea for a good year and a half, whenever she would cut a promo on someone, she would always say their name first. She would say, oh, Io, oh, Liv, oh, Oscar, you don't know what I'm going to do. But and then she get mad. And then she have that look like she looks at the general in that god-awful commercial. It's funny because you see her turn around and she's got this horror, and I'm like, she ain't really looking at anybody. But I kind of put Rhea Ripley more like Charlotte Flair. And I am a big fan of Charlotte Flair. What's happening with Rhea Ripley is simple. Rhea Ripley is the heir apparent to Charlotte Flair with that legacy. And Rhea Ripley, it is more about status and statistics. It is not her fault that WWE kept the belt on her for numerous months and then decided to go with an interim champion. That is bullshit. See, I dare Dave LaGreca to talk about this on his show. Instead, we wish Rhea a speedy recovery. Or he'll say, it gives someone an opportunity they didn't have it before. Now the interim champion will be a champion, and that's a champion crown that you wouldn't have had. Yes, you would have, because if Rhea would have been stripped with the belt, they would have had that championship instead of the interim title. Rhea Ripley, WWE wants to prop up even higher. And it's not necessary. She is, to me, the number one woman in that company. She is the number one woman in that company. Charlotte Flair was for years, but she's getting up there in age. You pull back a little bit. She's been giving back, which is great. Becky Lynch, I think, is a very close number 2. I think because Becky Lynch, you're realizing that her opponents more now is to help build up someone else. AJ Lee, it's obviously different because it was a storyline that was perfect in the making. Rhea Ripley, I don't put it like John Cena, because when she has matches too, she doesn't Cena. You know what I mean? She doesn't do the 5 moves of doom. You know, she doesn't like Hulk up. You know, Rhea Ripley works her ass off. She has great fucking matches. I put her more like Charlotte Flair. And again, it's not necessarily negative on her part. It is the way WWE portrays her, presents her. And listen, you know, they should have, I understand they wanted to wait and were hopeful that she would work by SummerSlam. But they realized Rhea is not good to go. So now they felt like, well, what do we do now? We can take the belt off her after all this time. Well, it's a hard decision to make. They should have taken the belt off of her a while back. But they thought, oh, she'll be good for SummerSlam, we hope. And then you realize, like, wow, it's going to look kind of stupid. Like, after 3 months, now we're going to strip her of the title? Are we going to backdate it? Could have done like Major League Baseball with the disabled list. So-and-so has been placed on a 60-day disabled list, retroactive to April 18th. They could have done that, but they didn't. They didn't. Now Rhea Ripley is going to have this long run. 5 years from now, we're going to look back at her run, and nobody's going to turn and say, do you remember she was out of action for 5 months? People aren't going to remember. So I kind of lean towards Charlotte Flair. Be fair to Flair. 316 MMA. Where do I rank Liv Morgan right now? I would rank Liv Morgan top 10. Potential top 5. I think, and let me also say this. If you look at Raw standards, I would put her right now number 1. I would arguably put her at number 1. She definitely has earned the spot that she's in. But the thing is, Becky Lynch is not doing much right now. Io Sky, it's kind of like up in the air. Too much dependent on Rhea Ripley for a while. Stephanie Vaquer has been out of action for a long time. I'm not saying that Stephanie is higher in the food chain than Liv, but what I'm saying is that Liv is kind of like a medium fish in a small pond right now. So that's why by default, I kind of put her at the top. But overall, I would say Liv, as far as the roster goes, I would put her in top 10, borderline top 5. But I will say this, give it a little more time, Liv Morgan will be in the top 5. She absolutely will be. She definitely, you could see that she is definitely improving, building, taking shit seriously. And that's even with her dating a hardcore Trump supporter. No, I don't care about politics like that. I would put Liv top 10, borderline top 5, without a doubt. And I think that's fair. Bobby Means, what's up, Bobby? If I had the pen, if he had the pen, he put the belt on Chelsea Green, and you could do Chelsea Green and Rhea Ripley at WrestlePalooza. That's not bad. Chelsea Green, I liked that they waited as long as they did to start doing what they're doing now. It's far enough after the Michael Hayes stuff, but make no mistake about it. I put Michael Hayes and his comments about Chelsea Green similar to how they treated Sami Zayn with the championship recently. And I know some of you are going to say, DT, what the hell are you talking about? I truly think that some people in creative realized we put these comments out about what Michael P.S. Hayes said, it'll garner a lot more support and even somewhat sympathy to Chelsea Green. Because it was an absolute fucked up thing to say, and that could have easily been omitted. I mean, what is WWE Unreal? Like, you put your hand on the Bible, you swear under oath? Michael Hayes says that, and somebody, Triple H, somebody says, don't keep that in the show. That's going to hurt her career. The perception of her will be bad. And what does WWE Real say? Like David LaGreca. No! He said it. He said it under oath. Why was that left in there? By design. WWE Unreal. What if they caught somebody fucking nude? Or if they caught someone fucking saying something dumb on the phone. Hey, listen, bitch, I'll be home when I'm ready. Asshole. Hey, make my fucking dinner. What if you accidentally catch that? You're not going to edit it out? somebody that's perceived a certain way on TV, and then you get them in a really bad moment. It's that time of the month, and they're just really, 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 really in a bitchy mood. You think that's kept in anyway? No, that shit's edited out. It's edited out. Why would you leave the Michael Hayes stuff in there? Why? You think they helped Chelsea Green? You think they worked it? No, of course that was done to keep it in there to gain. Same thing with Sami Zayn. We'll take the belt over a week, and we'll feel like we screwed Sami Zayn over, and people will get even more gravitating to him. They'll be fair to Sami. You mistreated him. Look at SmackDown Friday. Dave LaGreca did this. He did this weekend. SmackDown Friday. Damian Priest telling Cody Rhodes, we're tired of the same people on top. Motherfuckers treating it like it's a shoot. Are you stupid? I mean, really, busted open that stupid? Treating it like a shoot? No, this is what they do. When they see that there's a certain climate online, they try to portray it on television. It's like Cody Rhodes having the balls around WrestleMania time talk about corporate and TKO. This motherfucker's the number one corporate guy in TKO. And he's cutting promos about Pat McAfee and TKO in the back pocket. Are you kidding me? You're even worse in the back pocket with TKO. What are you talking about? But that's because the IWC was saying that. So Cody puts it in a promo. And see, there's a little bit of realness. You see LA Knight on Raw 2 Mondays ago, talking about Roman Reigns. Hey, Seth, you want a championship match? Sure. I'd like to fight you. Maybe we could go out after. Maybe we could get matching tattoos on our asses. Do we include Moxley even though he's not here? I don't know. Bro, I can't wait for WrestleMania or SummerSlam, whatever. He's doing this. Oh, you see, LA Knight, he's shooting. He got a little too personal with Roman. It feels like it. No. These motherfuckers know where they are in the food chain. They're just trying to shoot to make it seem like, you see, Damian Priest feels what we're feeling. You see, LA Knight is feeling what we're feeling. He's frustrated just like we are. And LA Knight gets pinned. Jacob Fatu. But you see, that's what Busted Open does. They treat it like Damian Priest, really shooting from the hip, saying what we're feeling. Motherfucker, producers told him to say that. You think Damian Priest went rogue on his own? That's why the Cody thing, man, people will never let us get past it. You're going to tell me Cody Rhodes, knowing what he is now, that he looked at Roman at the Royal Rumble and knew that he was supposed to point at the other guy, and he pointed at, I want you, Roman. And TKO's like, what? What? You're not supposed to do that. Dwayne, the fuck? We gotta break his knees. What? What are you talking about? Cody's gonna go rogue and do that? In TKO, who just bought WWE and the biggest stage of them all? Come on. These people fall for it. I think just a lot of people are embarrassed. They fell for Dave LaGreca, not Meltzer. They fell for Dave LaGreca a little bit too hard, and they kind of feel a little stupid. I think they're kind of embarrassed. They got a little bit of LaGreca man juice on their face. They feel so betrayed, but meanwhile, wipe the man juice off. Stand up. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. It is common sense. Look at, Dave Meltzer calls me a fraudster. That motherfucker is the biggest fraudster of all when he talks opinion and posts his news. All Dave has to do is tell the world that he provides mostly opinion now, and everything will be good in the world. But he posted his news. You saw the thing trending the last 24 hours. TKO executives will pressure WWE if ratings are not and business is not up with Netflix by 2028. Netflix will pressure TKO by 2028 if the numbers are... That's not news. That's, I don't even want to call it common sense. Not even a Pollock would come up with something like that. It's simple. It's simple, easy peasy. Netflix signed a 10-year deal with WWE in 2024. They can opt out in 5 years. The deal started officially the beginning of 2025, which means December 31st, 2029, they could opt out of the deal. So what Dave is saying is common sense. After 5 years, Netflix could opt out. So in 2028, if WWE is stuck in the mud, of course Netflix is going to light a fire in TKO's ass, say, listen, if we don't turn this shit around by 2029, we may not renew this deal. And they're not going to wait till December 31st, 2029 and say, yeah, you're fired. No, they're going to tell them 6 months early, we're not renewing the deal. They usually do it around June and July. Right now, around June and July, 2029. That's when Netflix would decide we're not going to extend the deal 5 more years. And then what happens? TKO stock takes a nosedive, and then TKO's got to find a new TV partner to start January 1st, 2030. It's not news. It's common sense. Gee, Netflix could back out it after 2029. So when did Netflix start being a little concerned about TKO and WWE? I guess it would be 2028. Because if they get very concerned, they have to give WWE some time to turn it around. So it's got to be 2028. We're already in 2026. So if it's in 2028, they don't turn it around. It's not news. It's common sense. You can back out after 5 years. It's trending. This shit is trending. Cody is so fake. It's, don't blame me. It's the fucking, I drank the whole thing. We might have to do a refill. I feel like I talked for 8 hours. We're only at 90 minutes. Rocky Red says, Liv Morgan having her first title defense on TV at SummerSlam 3.5 months after winning the belt is atrocious. I agree. That is WWE's fault. That is WWE's fault. And that is terrible. That is terrible. WWE has done numerous things. Terrible. And that should be called out. At least she's defending it now. They gave her some time off. They gave Stephanie McMahon some time off. The CM Punk thing, that's another one. I'm not trying to toot horns, but how many motherfuckers were trying to tell you CM Punk off TV, very upset, the way AJ Lee was treated, her loss at WrestleMania, the way they're using her, they're not bringing her back. CM Punk upset with management. It's about the hotel stuff. It's about the fans. It's about throwing a cell phone. Every single independent podcaster that I mentioned before, from JD to myself to Jason, Soup, everybody else said, you're giving him time off. Fucking guy's going to be near 50 soon. You gave him time off. He was the MVP with that championship going into WrestleMania. Had the match of the night with Roman Reigns. They gave him a much-deserved physical and mental vacation. That's all it was. Meanwhile, these schmucks get promoted to WWE Radio, saying all this other shit. And meanwhile, everybody who got it correct, what did the term Meltzer say? Fraudsters? The fraudsters, brother. Us fraudsters got it right, brother. What you gonna do when the fraudsters get it right more than you, brother? Fuck. By the way, I put the history show up earlier. Obviously, we had to talk about, the anniversary. It was 1 year ago. Hulk Hogan passed away. Believe it or not, and I brought this up last year, it's almost 1 year to the day that Hogan got fired from WWE for the racist stuff. He died almost on the anniversary of that. So we covered it. Check out the episode. I played some audio, and it does include a little bit of Vince McMahon's eulogy at the Hulk Hogan funeral. Yeah, mid-range. Some people said CM Punk is getting fired. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Blue Sky is a scam. I signed up on Blue Sky when it first launched just so I could get my Don Tony name. And I haven't been on there ever since. So I own the Don Tony name there, and that's it. It's kind of like what I did on YouTube. I wanted to go to YouTube like 15 years ago. So I signed up for YouTube. I took the Don Tony name, and then we did nothing for too long. So definitely please, I really mean this, please post in the comments what you would like for me to do to make this a little bit bigger. Do you want me to just do some impromptu live things like during the week? Like when something big time breaks, or maybe after SmackDown, or, you know, do you want me to like do another, because I would love to do a morning show again or an afternoon show, maybe one day, like maybe a Saturday morning, or maybe like a one day a week somewhere else. I definitely want some ideas, because I want to not only fill the void a little bit of what these guys are leaving behind, but I would like to take this to another level. And believe me, you know, I wasn't joking about that 14 download thing before. You know, a lot of people are very high in the rankings because they just take one full episode and break it up into clips. And that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Raw recap, second Raw recap, Raw reaction. I mean, you can't fucking do all that on one episode, but you do it on 3. And that's another thing. Some of these clips are 15 minutes long, 10 minutes long. So we're going to start doing clips, like random clips. Yeah, I'll do it too. I'll play them at their game. And if it helps me grow, fuck yeah. Tristan wants to know whose death was more shocking to me, Eddie Guerrero or Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit is obviously more shocking because it was a murder-suicide. You know, Eddie Guerrero's death was awful, and the saddest death. You know, the thing is, I covered Owen Hart's, and people were very, very sad and devastated about the tragedy. But something was different, and I know what it was. I still have the file, you know, and I've talked about this before. The day after Eddie Guerrero passed, I opened up my hotline and extended my voicemail and left fans opportunity to say, get off their chest their thoughts about Eddie Guerrero. One day I'll play it if you guys want. It's very sad, and it's interesting because you'll hear one guy, Kevin from Sheepshead Bay, who was just a caller at that time, and that's Kev Castle, and another guy that you'll swear is Tony Khan. And yes, he identifies himself as Tony. It's a very depressing 20, 30 minutes of audio. But the fans got such an attachment and fell in love with Eddie Guerrero. Owen Hart was a wonderful man. Owen Hart made people laugh. Owen Hart was a ribber, but all that stuff was behind the scenes. Owen Hart was entertaining, but Owen Hart did not have that intimate personal connection with the fans like Eddie did. So when Eddie passed away, it was just a completely different vibe. I mean, both sad, both tragic, but Eddie, it hurt. It really just hit people in the heart much deeper. Chris Benoit was just strange. We did the tribute show, and the beginning of the show, we're paying tribute to Chris Benoit, and halfway through, we found out what happened in real time and covered it. And by the end of the show, we were trying to make sense of why Chris Benoit did what he did. Thank you, Theme Parks and Things with Johnny, celebrating 54 freaking months as a channel member. Much love, my friend. He has a question about sleep. He does suffer from insomnia, but he don't or never took meds. What is my opinion on Tylenol PM? Tylenol PM works. I actually, if you have a little bit of pain also, try the NyQuil PM, ZQuil for pain. For some reason, if I take ZQuil, and they have one for pain, it has a little aspirin in it, I pass right out. The ZQuil for pain works great. Whatever you take is not meant for long-term use. I definitely would address some things, but I'll tell you what I do now. I have no caffeine after like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't drink soda after 4 o'clock. If I have anything, I have water or sparkling water. Yes, I know I had Zambuca tonight, but I don't think there's caffeine in Zambuca. I take a supplement called L-theanine about 4 hours before I go to sleep. I'll take a melatonin about 2 hours before I fall asleep. And then I take whatever I need for sleep after. And it seems to work a little bit. But if you get up, like I said, if you pee a lot at night, try the salt thing for one night. That's what I would do. Twix, my true thoughts about Joker Sting. I hated Joker Sting when it first came out. I actually hated Joker Sting. I'm not taking a lot. I'm just refilling a little bit. Just a little bit. I was not a fan of Joker Sting early on. It felt a little bit of a ripoff of like the movies. I just thought it was goofy. It was kind of dumb. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the skit with Hogan, but something just clicked with me. And suddenly I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. When he was, I'll never forget it, when he started mocking Hogan in the ring and said, here, take your vitamins, eat, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. And he had like a bucket which looked like vitamins. I don't know what they were, but he takes a butt and just shoves all of them in Hogan's mouth, and Hogan's spitting them out. And I just couldn't stop laughing. And then I realized Heath Ledger, like I kind of felt it was like a little bit of a ripoff of that, but man, he put a lot of work into it. I watched a promo very recently where he's talking to Kurt Angle right before they tagged up for a match. And Kurt is like, can I trust you? And Sting looks like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Could you trust me? Like, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm not kidding when I say this. I know this is going to sound, listen, it's not going to sound as stupid as Eric Bischoff now saying that Dixie Carter was a better booker than Tony Khan. I just stop. Eric, face it. It beat Nitro in the most shows ever on Warner. I kind of like Joker Sting more than Surfer Sting. And I wouldn't compare it to Crow Sting because the motherfucker never talked. I think Joker Sting might be my favorite Sting of all time. I mean, the AEW stuff felt like a video game. It felt like a video game. Like, Sting, you don't have to take a back bump unless you want to. Sting, you don't have to lose. You know, right at the very end, Sting was willing to put over the Young Bucks. Yeah, sure. And the hot model down the block was willing to go with me if I wasn't married. You know, like, we know what Sting was purpose for in AEW, and that's fine. It's fine. AEW fans understood why Sting was there, why he was being used that way. The wrestlers that got the opportunity to work with Sting in AEW, that's a memory that'll last a lifetime. And I say that complimentary. We understood what it was. That wouldn't jive in WWE. Fans would blow chunks over that. But to me, I think Joker Sting, looking back, might be my favorite Sting of all time. Seriously. It was just so funny and wacky and outrageous. I mean, I don't know. It was just, originally I thought it was awful and stupid, and then just something clicked and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking good, man. Yeah, you know what, Ray's piece, yeah, that is a great one. At times, Sting felt like you were watching Jim Carrey in a mask. Yes, that is a great, if you took Heath Ledger and Sting and Jim Carrey, the mask, and like spun it, you probably would have, you know, somewhat that is a great comparison. That is great. That is awesome, man. That is a good one. Roderick says, if Jade's in-ring work was more polished, could she compare to a modern-day Sid Vicious? Both passed the airport test, have a great presence, the it factor, despite not being the best workers. I wouldn't compare her to Sid, and has nothing to do with softball or anything like that. Jade Cargill looks like a superhero. Jade Cargill, I think, will at some point portray a superhero character. And if she continues, plus, listen, Sid was not a bad person outside of wrestling. You want to keep some scissors away from him, but was not a bad person outside of wrestling. I got to meet him a few times because Mass Maniac worked with him. And I met him in ECW twice. Very cool, actually. But Jade Cargill, outside of wrestling, is a role model, inspirational. And that is something that she takes very seriously. And I think that will just build. And as her career gets bigger and better, and that aspect of her gets more noticed, she's going to be looked at like a superhero in a lot of people's eyes. I am a big fan of Jade Cargill. I think some of the rumors that float around once in a while about her, I think are just unsubstantiated. Just because you work for WWE doesn't mean that there's no jealousy going on. There is absolute jealousy. There's jealousy in every aspect of business. I work in the insurance business, and I know for a fact there's a few agents that are very jealous of each other. I sent a quote the other day to buying a house insurance policy, and the person I usually deals with is on vacation for 3 days. So I sent it to this other person, and I get an email Friday from this person. I'm returning on Monday. Why did you send it to so-and-so? And I said, because I wanted to finish it. She's like, the insurance it's going into effect till August 19th. And I'm like, I know, but I just wanted to finish it. And she was like very upset that I gave the lead to somebody else. Podcasting world. There's a lot of jealousy in the podcasting world. I'm jealous of some people. There's no question about it. But my fat, lazy ass does nothing about it. So there's jealousy everywhere. Jade playing Storm in X-Men? Yeah, absolutely. That would fit perfectly. Shout out to Chris. He's totally blind. He's been watching wrestling for years. Just came across stream. So far, he likes what he's hearing. Let me tell you something. And I'm not saying this to kiss up. I mean, I could only imagine what it's like being blind. I don't know if you're legally blind or full-blown blind, but I will say this. It's one of the reasons why I loved doing the history show. And let me just explain something very quickly. I think a lot of you out there will appreciate this. WCW tried to do something in the late 90s that I couldn't believe that they stopped after like 4 or 5 shows. They did something called pay per listen. And at that time, technology for the internet was awful. Still had 56K modems, but streaming audio was not bad. I mean, I streamed audio online before anyone else for the most part, and that's documented. But I thought that was such a great idea from WCW. And the reason why I say that is because it was only like $5. I think it was only like $5. And yeah, you didn't see the wrestling, but you heard it, and it let your imagination run a little bit wild. And I thought, wow, what a smart thing to do, especially you couldn't do video online at that time. Technology wasn't there yet, but you could do audio. And they stopped after a few episodes. And I was like, damn, that's something that they should have done more. When I started doing a history show back in 2018, my first season of the history show was 8 years ago. When I did it, the match I always go to is WCW Slamboree 1994. Terry Funk versus Tully Blanchard. You had Bobby Heenan and Gordon Soley on commentary. Slamboree 94 was in Philly. You had hardcore ECW fans there. Straw Hat Guy was there. They were all there. And every time I play that match on the History Show, doesn't matter how many years go by, I sit there and I listen to it. I don't watch it. I listen to it because I close my eyes and I feel like this was the ECW arena. And if you want to hear the closest you could ever fantasize of Bobby Heenan and Gordon Soley calling a match in the ECW arena, listen to that match on my History Show. I promise you, without video, you listen to it and hear the fans chanting ECW and they're going hardcore, Terry Funk and Tully Blanchard, and you have Bobby Heenan and Gordon Soley on commentary, you will get so consumed for a few moments you'll think you're in the ECW arena. That's why I love the audio aspect, because when you have audio, all your attention is what you're hearing. You're not distracted by viewing. You're not distracted by something in the corner. You're not distracted by maybe something else in the room. You look down, your phone goes off. You're literally focused on the audio. And to me, again, I could only imagine what it's like to be blind, but to listen to wrestling, yes, you can get consumed with it. And it allows your imagination to go a little bit deeper. And that's why when you heard about WWE Radio, what did Dave LaGreca say? They're going to stream the audio of Raw, SmackDown, and Premium Live events on Sirius Satellite. So now you don't want to pay for a Premium Live event? At minimum, if you have a Sirius Satellite subscription, you can listen to the Premium Live event for free. Part of your subscription. WWE is doing something now that WCW started doing almost 30 years ago. That's something I thought would catch on, and it didn't. Slamboree 1994. Just go on Google and type in TWIWH for This Week in Wrestling History, Tully versus Terry. Tully versus Funk. It'll come right up. You listen to it, I promise you, you'll love it. You will absolutely love it. Jim Kahn says, of all the WWE releases, who do I want to see it all in? And I think we will. The New Day, a reuniting of the House of Black, and maybe Zelina Vega instead of Julie Hart. That's probably the furthest I want to go. I don't think I want to see any members of the Wyatt Six, with all due respect. That's pretty much the extent. New Day and reuniting in House of Black. Because Buddy Matthews is very close to a return. Redo the House of Black. Bandito and Brody King have been a great tag team. Brodito has been accepted by the AEW universe. But to me, Brodito, as good as it lasts, Bandito is a singles guy. Bandito should be like Dragon Lee. He should be a solo singles star, and you put Brody King back with the House of Black. That's what I would do. I absolutely would do that. Sheamus, I wouldn't mind Sheamus. Because I think at this point of his career, he's a part-timer. I think he would get similar to the Adam Copeland treatment. Maybe not as revered, but Sheamus could still work, obviously. And my God, think of how many people Sheamus could have a match with that he never fought before. See, that's the thing. I know, the dumb reports early on that, AEW is totally against the idea. Brian Alvarez did that. People I've spoken with in AEW like Sheamus, but they don't want him here. And I'm like, what a broad brush to fucking stroke. We don't know who you fucking talk to. You could have talked to Evil Uno, with all due respect. You could have talked to a worked horseman, whatever it is. You know, we don't know who you talk to. You could have talked to somebody in the writing team. Maybe he talked to a bunch of people. I don't know. But, you know, I mean, there's such a gigantic roster there. And turn around and put that out there. You know, if I have a roster of 70 and I talk to 2 people, I don't go online and say, the people I've talked to like Sheamus, but they don't want him here. Have the balls to say, the 2 people I talk to. But you don't, because you know a lot of people would be like, you talk to only 2 people and you put that shit out there? So that's dangerous. That's careless. But meanwhile, I'm the fraudster. It's my job now to fucking expose all the fucking shadiness going on. There's a lot of it. I don't pay for ESPN either anymore. I use a VPN and I watch Netflix. My wife watches a ton of Netflix, so I just use the VPN and I watch WWE off of Netflix. That's it. There's a couple of bootleg sites out there that will stream WWE because I don't even have USA Network anymore. I don't have that. So there's a couple of bootleg sites out there that'll stream WWE. When you do, I'll give you a hint. When you go on YouTube, misspell SmackDown. Just misspell it. Leave an A out. Put like KK, not 3, but 2. Like for Smack, SMAKK. And suddenly you'll see live stream. And it'll pop up. It may not last the full 2 hours, but you'll get a live stream for nothing. It's how I used to watch a lot of like Gutfeld show, because I used to watch like Greg Gutfeld. I used to like his shit. I didn't have YouTube TV anymore, so I'd just go on YouTube and just misspell his name, and all these live streams would come up. And most of the live streams are from India, which is funny. So see, they don't just scam with the Best Buy and the Microsoft. Hello, I am from the Microsoft. We will charge you $499. You know what's been killing me lately? And I'm sure all of you have been having this too. How many times do you get a phone call during a week offering you loans? $42,000 loans. I get them every fucking day, 2-3 times a day. I should have brought my phone here to show. I got one even today. Hey, I wanted to catch you before the weekend was up. If you're still interested in this $42,000 loan, $600 a month. And now I have my AT&T spam that they go right to fucking spam. Even on my iPhone, it'll say, please say your name and the reason why you're calling, and this will call, and then it pops up. And it's all automated. I get them every day. And nobody wants to do anything about it. I almost want to answer it and then give all fake information and see if I could get a loan with all fake information. So Jim Khan says he hopes QT Marshall has an AEW job for life since he told us publicly he failed the airport test. I have lightened up on QT Marshall, but the only reason why I've lightened up is because he's not on my television. There's an old phrase, out of sight, out of mind. That's how I look at it. QT Marshall, I hear, is good people. And I'm not warming up on the guy. I mean, like I said, if you really want to torture me, you ever see like Robot Chicken when they put the toothpicks in the eyes and you can't like close your eyes? Do that to me and just give me the best of QT Marshall. I know that the DVD would only be 5 minutes long, but still, like, put it on loop and you'll drive me crazy. I will go legally insane. That and the best of Marco Stunt. Those are probably the two. QT Marshall and Marco Stunt. If you really want to piss me off. Announcer. Shout out to you again. My thoughts on Jay Lethal cutting a promo on Ric Flair. Legendary. Jay Lethal, at the time, it was funny. You know, people played off on the black aspect of it. You know, a lot of people forget the original Black Nature Boy. Anybody remember the original Black Nature Boy? I remember when we used to mention him like that, be like, why do you have to announce him like that? I'm like, because that's how he's called. Scoot Andrews. Scoot Andrews. The Black Nature Boy, Scoot Andrews. So, Jay Lethal was great doing that. It got played out quickly. TNA tried to like push it a little bit too far, but it was good. It was good. Traveling Goblin, shout out to you, my friend. Oh yeah, Cornette hates Marco Stunt. I didn't budget my mixer time properly and my recording stopped. That's okay. That's why we have YouTube. So we can, I'll cap the audio off of the YouTube stream. So it's all good. So we're going to wrap this up in about 15 minutes. We'll wrap this up in about 15 minutes. Tomorrow we got a big day. Tomorrow we're going to have the Go Home Raw for SummerSlam. I have a question because I haven't checked. Has WWE announced the lineups yet? Like what's going to be on Saturday and what's going to be on Sunday? Have they done that yet? Someone in the chat room, just let me know, yes or no. If it's no, that is embarrassing. That is inexcusable. That is awful. That is disgusting. That is horrendous. I'm just waiting for a little feedback. Did they announce the lineups for Saturday and Sunday yet? They can't. They can't. They don't have enough matches yet. Yeah, Mid-Range says no. How? That is pathetic. That is fucking pathetic. You are 1 week away from Summit. Why isn't anybody like really calling this shit out? Why isn't that is inexcusable. You have people paying thousands of dollars at some points, and they don't even know what their fucking main event is going to be. If they only go into one night, that is just inexcusable. Yeah, they'll probably announce it tomorrow. That's why I want to do predictions tomorrow. Because remember, SmackDown's not until Friday. So if they're going to add a match Friday, I can't do predictions Friday because Saturday, SummerSlam is here. Who the hell's going to do predictions 10 hours before? So I want to do predictions tomorrow night. I mean, I could wait till Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite, but I can't see them adding a match between late Monday night and Wednesday night. So I expect to do predictions tomorrow. I hope they fucking announce the lineups. They gotta. They have to. That is just, I don't know who, that can't be a TKO call. That is inexcusable. That is just awful. And I'm not trying to be over dramatic here. That is inexcusable. Not even 6 days to go, and you still haven't told people who's going to be on the night you paid for? That is fucking disrespectful. So we got that to talk about tomorrow. Talk about Raw, do predictions, get through the lineups, add maybe some additional stuff about this, busted open WWE radio thing. I don't think we really need to add much to it. Again, nothing personal, but many people saw this a mile away. It was only a matter of time. And now it's here. Whatever. I don't lose sleep over it. Hopefully I don't lose nothing over it. Oh, I don't want Pat McAfee back. Ooh, hell no. Hell no. Dominic asks, who do I see winning the men's Royal Rumble and the women's? It's so early to tell, man. It's so early to tell. I mean, you got your usual favorites, Obafemi, Braun Breaker. We don't even know who's going to be heavyweight champion at that time. Plus, there's still rumors of additional, trade, so to speak. They didn't do a draft, contrary to what a lot of people reported exclusively. Go Google it. 3 months ago, you had people exclusively reporting we were getting a draft by June. It hasn't happened. They did no transfer window. So things could change. You got CM Punk on SmackDown now. And, sure, that was discussed a few months, but we didn't know how it was going to happen. So it's impossible. It's impossible to start calling winners now. we don't even know who's going to be champion by that time. I would say when we get to around November or December, once we get past Survivor Series, we should start getting a good idea as far as where WWE is going. Remember this. This was like 2 weeks ago. We had some fun on a history show. We brought up a year ago, like 4 very, very big wrestling news sites mainstream news sites, not wrestling news sites, mainstream news sites. One of them might have been What Culture, but we had fun because 4, Yahoo News was one. I don't remember the other 3. I think What Culture was one, but 4 news sites 2 weeks ago in 2025 gave us match predictions for WrestleMania 42. There was like 65 matches that they predicted across the 4 websites. Every single one was wrong. Every single one was wrong. 65 matches. Some were repeats, no question, but 65 matches, not one of them happened. So this is why we don't predict this early. It's so hard to tell. But I think we have a good idea. You know, who knows? Maybe LA Knight wins one. Never know. Never know. What Culture? Should I do it? Should I do it just for 2 seconds? The top 10 worst gimmicks of all time. This is all. Fuck that. All right, let's start bringing this home. What time we got? We got 9 minutes. Yeah, TKO. Listen, you know, a lot of those $25 tickets were snatched up. They sold like 5,000 of them, which was smart, which absolutely was smart. But there was still like 1,600 tickets that were combos. Combo. No, like they weren't, can I have a combo for 50? Can I have a combo for 50? But that wasn't a big deal. You know why? Because you could end up sitting at section 504 for night 1, and you sit at section 550 on night 2. You know what I mean? Like, so what? Like, all right, I'm over here, and now I'm over here. Like, big deal. Like, why do I need to have the exact seat? Like, if you're all the way up there, why would you want the same seat? Seriously. Especially if you sit next to someone who hasn't showered for a month. You know, I'm going to take my 88-year-old grandmother out for wrestling. She hasn't been to a wrestling event since 1987. And you bring her there and you realize she hasn't showered since 1987 either. And you have night 1 of SummerSlam and it smells like fucking rotten frogs. And you're watching SummerSlam and all you keep tweeting and you're like, oh my God, this is an amazing show, but this woman smells like dead frogs. And the show's over, you're like, oh, thank God, I need to take a cold shower. And then you're like, oh, tomorrow, thank God, that woman won't be there. And you go back to the same seat and who's sitting in front of you, fucking dead Kermit. Like, you get a different section, man. That's what I would do. Seriously. I've sat next to some very, very smelly people in the past. I will admit, I have had some smelly customers because a lot of you don't notice, but in Italy, many areas of Italy don't believe in deodorant. I kid you not. And they bring it to the United States and they think they don't, no, nobody wears deodorant in Italy. You could tell. I can't even describe what it smells like. Like I went into an Indian nightclub once in like 1990 and it truly did smell like curry. It truly did smell like curry. I'm not saying this to be racist or anything like that. Like that, there's a unique smell. Just like Italians. You go in front of an elderly Italian person who maybe has a little BO to them and there's a unique smell to that. Like that gentleman who was blind earlier. You could probably get a job working at like an amusement park and be like, I'll predict your nationality just by smell. And I swear to God, you could literally just go to someone's armpit, go, definitely Italian. Oh my God, definitely. I better be careful. No, we'll leave it at that. There's a unique smell about people. Trust me, especially the Guidos. They smell like Drakkar. Drakkar. Anybody remember Drakkar? I used to wear it when I was young. Drakkar. A lot of Italians do smell like garlic. Especially like I went to my niece's wedding a couple of months ago, and I saw a lot of people I had not seen, and you give people kisses on the cheek, and a lot of Italians, you kiss on both sides of the cheek, and you're like, oh, that person definitely tackled the hors d'oeuvres. Oh my God, this person must have had sushi. Like some people just, they don't believe in breath mints. That's why this is a true thing. I still have some of the bags too. I was thinking of giving some away as a little contest, but when me and my wife made gift bags for everybody who attended our weddings, inside the gift bag was custom chocolates that had like our names and graphics on it. We had a whole bunch of things, but we also had breath mints, toothpaste, tissues, aspirins, hangover pills. Like, we just had like toiletries. Like, okay, if somebody's on the dance floor a little bit too much, maybe like a little bit of, like the portable BO stuff. Like, we made all these like little kits, and it was the greatest. I think I showed pictures. I think our Patreon family saw pictures when I got married 4 years ago. Those were epic, man. I literally spent like 2 days putting these bags together. It was just tremendous. But the reason why we came up with, we were thinking like, some people are going to be smelling bad and their breaths, oh my God, breath mints, Tic Tacs, gum, antacids, Pepto-Bismol. Seriously. I'm going to, maybe if I see my parents this week, I'll bring a bag home and I'll open it next week. You could see. I still have a few sealed bags. I got shot glasses. Somewhere in this room, I have about 50 shot glasses. We gave away shot glasses. All right, Tristan wants to know, Big Mac or Whopper? For me, Big Mac. For every 200 Whoppers, 200 Big Macs, I'll have one Whopper. I'm not a fan of Whoppers. I'm not a fan of the beef from Burger King. I don't know. It just flame broiled. I don't know. It just doesn't taste the same. When I was a kid, I always thought Burger King tasted different. I think at some point I thought it tasted kind of like a barbecue, so to speak. Flame broiled is like, I don't know. It just doesn't taste very good to me. I hate Burger King's French fries. Burger King's French fries are awful, man. I'd rather just stick my tongue in some elderly lady's like nostril and just like just pretend it's no, I'd rather like do yoga and stiff my own ass before eating that. That's disgusting, man. I think Vader would have gotten his ass beat down in the NWO era. I think he would have gotten beat down. They would have had to make him like a little baby face aligning with Sting and stuff like that. I'm sure he would get some revenge and everything, but I don't think Vader would have fit good with the NWO. And I absolutely would not want him in the NWO. No. How do I book Oba after SummerSlam? Championship. IC Championship. You have to do IC Championship. Maybe WWE, listen, WWE could possibly pull the trigger sooner. I would think you wait till WrestleMania to give Oba Femi a world championship, but maybe they just think, let's just do it sooner. Right now, Roman's still the champion, and the way I feel right now, Roman is going to remain the champion after SummerSlam. I think Oba Gold is in the future, but I think IC Championship should be the way to go. As far as who returns at SummerSlam, Stephanie Vaquer. I know Baron Corbin is. Again, people are like, you couldn't do Carmelo Hayes, huh? Couldn't do Carmelo Hayes, huh? I mean, come on. Remember last year, the John Cena tournament? Carmelo Hayes was in there, and people like, my forces told me 2026 will be the big year for Carmelo Hayes. They're going to put the Jets on him. Yeah, the problem is the Jets would be put in reverse. Phew. I mean, come on, man. We saw that at WrestleMania. Melo done a great job as the United States champion, But we're going to put the belt on Sami Zayn because we want him to lose to Trick at WrestleMania. But boss, Trick and I have great history together. We've had matches before. We could tear it up. I know, and you're a spectacular talent, but this is WrestleMania. And unfortunately, no one's going to want to pay for your ass. So, why don't we make it a three-way? And why not? Why do we not make it a three-way? It's like, come on, man. You know, people were saying about Mello. People were saying about Ilya Dragunov. Man, I don't trust those people with my finances. Definitely not playing my lotto numbers. Fuck that. Yeah, Mello gets screwed over again. You know, there's going to be a slew of releases in the very near future. And there's going to be some names on it. Like, look, am I saying that I have sources of names? No. But from research and history and the way it repeats itself and the way WWE's doing business right now, especially Lola Vice is on the verge of being called up. Some others are about to be called up. They're making room. Some people are going to be like, oh, we've talked about some names that we're worried about. Some names are absolutely being let go. And trust me, there's some of those names, people are like, All Elite. All Elite. My God, people are already putting Bailey on the All Elite poster, even though I think that would be a good idea. There's going to be a slew of releases in the very, very near future. And it could happen right after SummerSlam. We'll see. We shall see. But anyway, I'm in the jet. Time for me to go. It's been fun, my friends. You know, again, I'd love your feedback. What we talked about earlier. I would like to know, what can I add that you would, I'm not saying that you have to watch every minute of every hour, but what can I add that you would from time to time browse at? Do you want me to go live at random days and times during the week when shit breaks? Do you want me to possibly do a Saturday morning show? Do you want me to do a Friday night, podcast right after SmackDown? I mean, Wednesday Night Dynamite live is probably coming. And if it comes, it's going to be within the next 2 weeks. I won't have the intro video yet because people are quoting me crazy amounts of money. I'm sure you all remember that video of my AI attempt with the women saying Dynamite. I've reached out to a few professionals. These people want like $600-$700. And I'm like, all you got to do is push a couple of buttons and tell an AI woman to just say Dynamite. Lip sync. Like, it takes time. How much time is that? Like, that's all you need. I'll add the text. And they're like, $650. No. So we have the music, but we don't have the intro yet. So definitely let me know. But I promise you this. I know my limitations. No, I will not burn out. No, I will not burn you out. I totally get there's other shows that you tune into. There's other podcasters that you support. I'm not trying to tell you for me to be the replacement or substitute for any of them. All I'm saying is that with Busted Open, now going full-blown WWE, there is a shitload of content they will not be covering anymore. And more importantly, that WWE discussion will be much more biased, will be very, very, very much storyline driven. So that's what I want to replace. I want to pick up what they're going to leave behind. And I also want to keep it 100 when we talk about WWE. So definitely your input is going to help me steer where we go with this. Definitely would love to see it. So, and as we close this out, Dream 101, haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. Thank you for your generosity. Could I see Damian Priest being released? Not yet. Not yet. I think they can utilize him a little bit in AAA, which should not be the replacement because Damian Priest is getting paid a lot of money. You're not going to keep spending that kind of money to work AAA. but Damian Priest still has worth. Maybe more worth than we believe. No, I think Damian Priest is good for now. We revisit it maybe 6 months from now, a year from now. He's not a spring chicken anymore, but he's still very, very popular, extremely talented, very good at what he does. And I personally think he is safe. He is very safe for now. I think, the names that we've all pondered, again, I don't want to bring up any specifics, but, let's just say the ones that seem to be regulated to just laying on tables and props and, you get an idea where I'm going with it. You could get the vibe, who's getting pushed and who's not. The very, very young wrestlers, you got to make some room in NXT as well, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll talk about it. Maybe we'll pick up this conversation tomorrow. In fact, I'll see what feedback we get between tonight and tomorrow, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit further. So I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. I thank you for spending a little bit of your Sunday night with me. Definitely post some comments. I don't normally ask for that, but especially now, there's a phrase, you want to strike while the iron is hot. I definitely want to strike while the iron is hot. There's an old 80s commercial with Dunkin' Donuts. I'll leave you with this. If you ever watch it on my X account, @DonTonyD, there's a link. He used to be a chubby, bald guy. Now, I'm not bald, but I am chubby. And it shows him at like 4 o'clock in the morning. He wakes up half asleep. Time to make the donuts. Then it's raining out. Time to make the donuts. It's the afternoon. Time to make the donuts. It's late at night. Time to make the donuts. It's 4:30 in the morning. Time to make the donuts. But when he opens Dunkin' Donuts up, there's a whole bunch of customers waiting there. And that's what brightens him up. That's what I want to do. I'm not going to burn myself out, but it's time to make the donuts. I think we need to take this as an advantage and take some chicken shit that busted open is left behind, and let's turn it into a little bit of chicken salad, right? Much love, everybody. Be well. Catch you all in the next one.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.